The Apothecary Diaries, an anime that premiered in the fall of 2023 under the direction of Norihiro Naganuma and Studio OLM. My expectations for the show were based solely off of this one piece of promotional art, to which I immediately thought, oh, well, this looks like one of those smutty little romances. What I didn't expect was a nuanced take on family, or more specifically motherhood, coupled with a very unique style of presentation that accentuates these delicate subjects. Very cool. The story follows a young girl named Maomao, born into a world loosely based on Imperial China, which is so sick, by the way. She grows up in the Red Light District, an area supported by a thriving sex industry. Without an immediate family, she's taken care of by the courtesans of a high-class brothel, along with her adoptive father, who introduces her to the world of an apothecary. Medicines, herbs, drugs, poisons, illnesses. To Maomao, these are all things that deeply fascinate her and her insatiable curiosity. This vast knowledge proves useful once she's whisked, oh my god, I can't say that word. She is taken away to work at the Imperial Palace as a servant, and paired with her innate knack for solving mysteries, she garners attention from a plethora of important figures, spurring on the main developments of our story. The first thing that struck me about the Apothecary Diaries was just how much fun it was to watch, and that's in large part due to how the author constructed the story. Season 1 covers two big story arcs, both of which last around 12 episodes and end with emotionally charged resolutions. It's very much a mystery detective-like show. Each episode has a self-contained puzzle that Maomao is tasked to solve. And while at first glance these mundane issues are written off as accidents or being insignificant, each one contains a little tidbit of information that comes back as being imperative to the greater mystery of that arc. One episode may introduce the concept of deathly food allergies, another may reveal the ability for one to scale the rear palace walls without tools. All of these seem super disconnected and frankly irrelevant at first glance, but in hindsight, they were imperative in solving the larger conspiracy at hand. Once I realized this, it quickly became a game where I found myself sifting through what information is important to remember and what is simple misdirection. Not only does this make future rewatches so much fun, as it's a whole new experience seeing how characters react to certain things with your newfound grasp of the entire picture, but it kept me engaged throughout its entirety, a feat that is increasingly difficult to accomplish with my dwindling attention span. None of this would really matter, however, if at the end of a story arc it turns out that it was just Dio all along. These conclusions have to actually be worth building up to, or else all that effort both Maomao and the viewer put into figuring things out feels like a waste of time. Luckily, not only do they manage to pull it all together and wrap it up with a nice bow, I was super impressed with the effectiveness of its emotional beats that drive a lot of the characters' motivations. The core themes of the Apothecary Diaries to me revolve around both familial and maternal love. What it means to become a mother, the unconditional love and joy that it can bring, contrasted by the overwhelming grief and misery over what is lost. The show is thorough in exploring the topic from various angles and situations, oftentimes through the lens of our two main characters, whose unconventional upbringings resulted in unique perspectives that are constantly being tested against the events occurring around them. I wasn't expecting to stumble into such a mature take on love and its consequences when blindly jumping into a seasonal anime, but boy, was I pleasantly surprised. The fact that it managed to accomplish this feat when, quite frankly, Backyardigans gives it a run for its money on the animation front is quite impressive. Okay, maybe that was a little out of pocket, but besides a few standout episodes and moments, there really isn't much to write home about regarding the quality of animation. So, how does it manage to convey such inherently strong emotions given the lack of movement compared to many of its contemporaries? The answer is twofold: shot composition and color. The Apothecary Diaries contains some of the most striking stills I've seen in recent years, combined with a deep understanding of color and its influence over the atmosphere of a sequence, and suddenly, there really isn't much of a necessity for extravagant character animation. You can tell exactly what it is that's going through these characters' heads based on the lighting and framing of a scene, no further dialogue necessary. I mean, I really could stare at some of these shots all day. They are so fine. Last but not least, with all the talk about having to pay close attention to pick up on clues or enduring a barrage of emotional revelations, watching this show may come off as more exhausting than the common 9 to 5. That's where Maomao comes in. While it's true that she is a pragmatic genius that can seemingly solve any problem if she puts her mind to it, she's also a freak whose favorite hobbies consist of consuming fatal doses of toxins and being oblivious to any and all romantic advances. Amidst the normally uptight and serious residents of both the inner and outer palaces, her sometimes nonchalant, sometimes deranged attitude offers a much-needed respite for the audience and balances some of the more serious elements of the show quite nicely. The Apothecary Diaries is without a doubt one of the more impressive aggressive productions of recent times in my mind. Despite having less animation resources compared to some of the other larger scale productions, they took it as a challenge, really thought outside the box, and created something different that was more suited to the staff's current skill set. And for me personally, I genuinely enjoyed the ride. Maomao's constant antics, the uniquely constructed storyline that kept me curious until the very end, but most importantly, when it came time for those emotional climaxes, they did not disappoint. Parenthood, and especially motherhood, is a sorely underused premise in anime, and is something that I and everyone on Earth can resonate with in one manner or another. I look forward to seeing how the show continues to expand on these themes in future seasons, because apparently there's 15 light novel volumes out right now, and the first 24 episodes only cover 2 of them. Dear God.